If you're a 20-year-old that has no idea what they're doing with their lives and has no idea what they want to do in the future, welcome to the defining decade. Actually, there's a study that says that 80% of the most defining changes in your life are going to take place before you're 35. Some people will get married, some are going back to school, some will just grind through work, some will just stay unemployed trying to figure out their lives, some will start having kids, some will party all of their 20s. There's no clear blueprint for how to approach this decade, and this is why it can be very stressful and a lot of people go through a lot of anxiety in their 20s. Thankfully, Meg Jay wrote A Defining Decade. She's a psychologist, and in this book, she highlights the most important things to keep in mind as we go through this decade. So in this video, I'll share the 5 takeaways that were most important to me, so let's get to it. So as a 20-year-old, when you're starting out, it seems like there's a million things to do. There's a million jobs you could do. There's a million travel opportunities. You have so much freedom to do so much. And one of the first things that she talks about is identity capital. During your 20s, you should be doing as many things that add to yourself as a person as possible. If you feel like you're at a job that's a dead end, that you're not learning anything, you're just going through the motions, earning a paycheck, she argues that you're better off making less money or even working for free just to get that experience and that identity capital to later on find a better job. In my personal life, there's times that I find my work boring, but what gets me through the days, through the weeks, and through the months is that I do feel that the consulting job I work at is giving me identity capital. It's teaching me how to present in meetings, how to talk to high-ranking individuals, how to make presentations, how to solve complicated problems. It's giving me the identity capital that I feel it's gonna help me in the long term. So at the end of the day, it's adding to my life. One day, all that identity capital that you've collected is gonna pay off. The next one that I like has to do with social media. Nowadays, there's a million social medias. You have Instagram for your personal life. You have LinkedIn for your professional life. You have Twitter to find out about news and just memes in general. There's so many things out there that consume us and make us waste infinite amounts of time. And like I'm sure you've heard before, Meg Jay says that this causes depression, and most importantly, it causes you to compare yourself with others. And it becomes a slippery slope. Even though we're probably not going to stop using social media from one day to the other, just keep it in mind and realize that you're comparing yourself with the highlights of other people. So whenever you see a post of someone getting married or someone getting a new job or getting into a new school, just remember that those are the highlights of their lives, just like you have highlights in your life, and that person will also go through some lows, just like everyone in the world goes through lows at times. It's never good to compare yourself with others. Another thing that we do as 20-year-olds that also relates to the comparing yourself example is that we're always searching for glory. This particularly happens to me because I believe that I put a lot of work in, and I believe that glory should be coming my way soon, or that I should be doing all these great things already. And in reality, the truth is that most people don't reach their potential until their 30s, 40s, and even 50s. So it's unrealistic to think that you're going to reach your potential by the time your 20s end. Some people do reach it, but obviously these cases are extraordinary, and it doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you. So it's more important to just focus on getting that identity capital, doing the right things, and let the glory come whenever it's supposed to come. Another more scientific fact she brings up has to do with our frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is actually the frontal part of our brain, and it's the one in charge of dealing with our emotions and with uncertainty. As you've probably realized, especially if you worked in a corporate job, higher ranking executives are not working on an Excel sheet or in PowerPoint. They're mostly dealing with people, and this is where the frontal lobe comes in. Through research, Meg Jay shows that the frontal lobe actually develops itself with practice. If you don't practice how to handle your emotions, if you don't practice how to deal with people, how to handle complicated relationships, you're not going to develop your frontal lobe as well, and you might not reach your full potential when it comes to dealing with these complicated relationships in the future. Now the last one, and probably my favorite, is that confidence comes from the outside in and not from the inside out. In my workplace, I remember in my first project, I would see my superior and I would see how she would lead meetings, and it would be intimidating because in my head, she felt like a natural and she was just good at leading meetings and handling people. And in my head, I thought I would never reach that level. However, it's important to realize that someone is not necessarily born with confidence. Through practice, you can always get there. And instead of being intimidated, I decided to put myself out there, be uncomfortable, and ask for opportunities where I could also practice leading meetings. And even though at first I was not confident at all, and I would be terrified for when that time came where I had to lead, I still have a lot to learn and a lot to get better on. But I could definitely say that I'm way more confident than I was 2 years ago. These are only 5 of the things that Meg Jay discusses in her book, so if you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend it. But there you have it. If you like this video, drop a like, subscribe. We drop videos every Wednesday, so we'll see you again next week. Peace.